Welcome to That's Joy, the podcast. I'm your host, Cece Calbanero, and I'll be sharing stories of miracles, God moments, and unpacking the truth behind what joy truly means. My friend, when God gives you a direct call on your life, be sure to answer it. Here's to answering my call together. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of That's Joy. I am so grateful that you're here. My name is Cece, and I am the host of this beautiful show that the Lord has blessed us with. And friends, today I'm talking about something very special. And if you're new around here, then you might not know we kick off every episode with a little joyful noise. Joyful noise is just our version of good news. What are the good things that are happening? Let's highlight more of that. And this week, my joyful noise is tying straight in to the episode. And it's the fact that I got to spend 9 whole days with my mother traveling Europe. And I am so grateful for that. Gosh, I want to just dive into it today and just say that the 1st through the 9th, I had the opportunity to travel to Europe with my mom. And a lot of the questions that I get from friends and from family is, wait, didn't you just get married? Why didn't your husband go? And it's because this trip was planned with my mom over a year ago, and it's actually a conversation that we've had for years. We've always talked about how we would want to travel the world together, and it feels like such a bucket list thing that we've got to experience. And I of course talked to my husband about it, and he was all for it, and even said that he would love to do that too if given the opportunity, kind of thing. And I think that it's so special, especially as we get older. I mean, my goodness, I'm 29 years old, and we don't spend as much time with our parents anymore. I actually came across this Instagram post, and it was one of those bar graphs. I don't know if y'all have seen this before, but it shows time spent through age with different groups of people in your life. And so it showed that when you're 0 to 12 years old, I believe, or no, 0 to 18 years old, you have most time spent with parents, and then it drops down, right? And so that's how the bar graph goes. And then with your partner, let's just say that there was another bar graph that displayed the time spent with your partner, and it's like from 0 to 28 or 27, I guess it is for me when I met Jonathan. That bar graph's very low, right? There's not a lot of time spent with them, but then that hikes up in my 30s and 40s to most time spent with him. And so that's life, right? That is so much of life. And I think that we have to remember that our days here are numbered. I can't shake Psalm 139 out of my head of how much our days are like pre-planned, that the Lord knows every single day that we have on earth. And oftentimes we think that everyone will live till they're 95. And for my grandma's case, 98 years old. And while that is such a blessed life, I think that there are moments that we are all familiar with where we feel like in our human flesh that life was cut too short, and our days are numbered. And so on this episode, I wanted to share just a few of the places that my mom and I were able to go. I actually have my cup right here. Me and my mom actually love collecting these Starbucks cups everywhere we go. My mom cheats a little, and she has family and friends buy her a cup even though she hasn't gone there. My rule of thumb is if I didn't create memories in that place, then I don't want to, memories in that place that I don't want to forget, then I don't want to have the cup. And so we went to Budapest, and I don't want to get too ahead of it, but this is the cup from Budapest that I love, and it actually has California Phil's coffee in it, so I'm gonna take a sip. It's just so good. So I kind of wanted to share a little bit of our itinerary for anyone who is interested in traveling to Europe. Maybe you want to take a few notes on kind of what works best, but here's the deal. Me and my mom planned to go to Vienna, Austria. Friends, full transparency and honesty, I couldn't even tell you where Austria was on a map. At first, I thought she said Australia. And I was like, down, sick, never been there before, would love to go there, right? But it was not Australia where the kangaroos are. It is kind of to the right of Italy if you're looking at a map. And so I've been to Italy before, and my mom has never been to Europe before. And so this trip was going to be special for that reason, but also because one of her best friends from high school, y'all, lives there. And so they actually lost contact with one another when they moved from the Philippines, I think in the 70s. Her best friend moved to Austria. My mom ended up moving to the US. There wasn't Facebook yet. And so they kind of lost contact. But once Facebook was created, I think that is one of the very high positives of social media. They were able to find each other, reconnect. And during COVID, I believe they had Zoom calls with each other, with another group of other friends who have moved away from the Philippines but have found their place in new areas. And so that was so sweet, y'all, that we got to spend so much quality time with her best friend too. And they spoke Tagalog, which is the main language in the Philippines, pretty much the entire time. And fun fact, I can understand Tagalog probably about 75% of the way, but I can't speak it. And I would say that before this trip, my understanding was probably at like a 65%, but spending 9 days with both of them conversing in Tagalog the whole time, I think it hiked up to maybe 80%, maybe 85. I don't know. But it was so sweet to just be reminded of my roots in a lot of ways, and learn so much. And so me and my mom flew from SFO to Vienna, Austria. There was not a direct flight, so we actually flew into Frankfurt, Germany. And my mom's so funny. She texted in our group chat with my brothers and was like, touchdown in Germany. Or footsteps in Germany for the first time, something like that. But we had a quick layover there to then hop on another plane to fly into Vienna. And y'all, Vienna is beautiful. It is so historic, and there is so much just rich history there. I had no idea how many buildings have been up for years. I mean, one of the most famous cathedrals are in the heart of Vienna, and I feel so grateful that we got to see all of that. And so the first day we got there, we did had dinner in the streets of Vienna and had a classic, what are those called? Wiener Schnitzels for the first time, which is actually a thin layer of veal meat, deep fried with breading over it. I thought Wiener Schnitzels were hot dogs, because out here, I'm pretty sure the hot dog place is called Wiener Schnitzel, like the little fast food place. Anyhow, we tried that for the first time. It was pretty good. I did come to learn that the palate of Austria is probably not my favorite. One of the things that I did love was the apple strudel, and that's something that they're also famous for. So I indulged in plenty of those, and we actually went shopping the first day at a local outlet place. And then the day after that is when we hopped on a bus to drive to Budapest. That's the other beautiful thing about Europe. The countries are so close. We were able to visit 3 countries, 4 different cities in 9 days, and feel like really we had enough time to see a good bit of it. And so we drove to Budapest. That was a 3-hour drive, very early. I think our bus left at 6 a.m. We woke up at 4. And so we did that and then spent all day in Budapest and then came home very late that night. And Budapest, y'all, was awesome. I mean, so much architecture and just liveliness. It feels like there was a beat to Budapest. And of course I had to play the song by George Ezra. I'm gonna butcher that. Look it up on Spotify. You know the song, you love the song. But played that through the streets, drank Americanos and flat whites until I couldn't have any more, and spent so much. So me and my mom started this little TikTok video thing that we were doing throughout all of the places that we visited. So her best friend and her other friend came and they videoed for us. And if you haven't seen it yet, go to my Instagram. It's so cute. And one of those things that I'll just cherish forever. So we went to Budapest, came back. Then the next day, actually woke up to, I think we had one day in Vienna. But the next day we woke up and hopped on a train to Hallstatt. Oh, wait, no. I'm sorry. The next day we got up to hop on another bus to Bratislava, Slovakia. Bratislava, I believe, is the city and Slovakia is the country. So it was only an hour away from Vienna. And again, just another cute, quaint, a lot more quiet than Budapest place where we got to explore and see. We got to see a castle. I was like, okay, this is insane how big the world is. I just was fascinated. And talk about my word of the year being wonder. I was in awe. And there was a wonder through my lens the entire time. It almost felt like I was a kid again. When you're seeing things for the first time, it's like you have that childlike faith where you're just looking out and you're like, man, I've never seen this before. And there's that awe and wonder in your eye. We were paying attention to everything. And that's what my spirit felt and what I actually saw throughout that time. And so after that, we went back to Vienna, had a day there, and didn't stay the whole day in Bratislava because it was more quiet and quaint. The next day is when we got up to hop on a train, because this was a bit further, to Hallstatt, Austria. Fun fact, it has been told, I put that in quotes because I Googled it and it did show it, but the Disney movie Frozen was inspired by this small town called Hallstatt, Austria. And I am telling you guys, I think of all the places, this is my favorite place because humans didn't create it by buildings, but the Lord blessed it with his hand. There was an awe and a wonder in these mountains meeting this lake in a way that I have not seen it done before. I mean, I'm so grateful that I was able to go to college right outside of Lake Tahoe, another place that's just absolutely breathtaking. You have to go in your lifetime. But Hallstatt was that. Like, it felt like you stepped out of a picture book. And the other part of that is how humans have designed the buildings to look there. Like, it literally looked like I was walking through the streets of Frozen, the movie. And I am so, so grateful for that. We actually had like the world's freshest croissant from a small little coffee shop there. There had to only be like 15 businesses there. I mean, we drove up on this other train once we got there, a quick little one, probably 2 minutes up, that takes you to the very top of a skywalk, similar to Chattanooga, if you've ever been there. But you go up by train on this skywalk and you see from a bird's eye view the lake and the little towns. And you guys, it was breathtaking, like absolutely breathtaking. And so we were able to spend a night there. I actually looked on a few different sites, Airbnb, Expedia, Google Hotels, and found, I believe, this one on Expedia, where it was the cheapest, and I wish that was sponsored, but it's not at all. But we got a room for like $100 and something, and it was a cute little apartment. The owner was magnificent, so kind. The travels in were a bit of a hiccup with train delays and different things like that, but holy moly, a 3-hour train ride there, sleep there, 3-hour train ride back was everything we needed and more, and I'm so glad that we did it. So that was that part of the trip. And then we got back to Vienna, checked into a new hotel. One of my mom's friends works for the Hilton, and so she had our connections. And that's another thing, y'all. You never know who you're going to meet and how they're going to bless you. And also who you're going to meet and how you can bless them. These incredible people blessed us with a corner unit room overlooking the city of Vienna, all floor to ceiling windows at the Hilton Hotel. And oh my gosh, we just felt like little queens in our room. And I am so, so grateful for this trip because I know that these are memories that I'll keep for the rest of my life. And I actually was talking with a friend about the trip, kind of like rehashing all of the memories. And there were certain things that I think I really loved the most. And one, it was seeing my mom kind of like a new light in her when she was with her high school best friend. Like you could just tell that they were girls who were once 16 having the time of their lives, and today still having the time of their lives and picking up right where they left off. And it reminded me of friendship and how important girlhood friendships are in your life and how to hold them close to your heart. And I was reminded of just travel and the impact of travel and what it does to your heart and your spirit and your mind, and how important it is if you have the opportunity to go out and see beyond your four walls of your city, and go out and see what else other people are doing. I mean, there's so much learning that happens from travel that I think that we just don't talk about enough. I know that a lot of people don't have that capability of going to Europe, and I don't want to boastfully say that because my mom has worked very hard and has gone through many seasons where that wouldn't even be a question if she could afford a trip like that, because she couldn't. But by the grace of God, she's been blessed financially and we were able to go on that trip. And so I am so grateful for that. But even getting out of your city, friends, and to going into places, hold on, just having this revelation, not even getting out of your city, getting out of your community, getting out of your norm, seeing new areas of your city, new people in that city. I think so often we can get so comfortable and cultured in our own ways that we miss the opportunity to learn from someone else doing life in a different way. You know how many lessons come from seeing how other people live lives in a different way than you? It humbles you. You think you got it best and you got the roadmap to the way that life should be lived, right? But there are so many different ways that people live. I mean, my goodness, the hotels that we went to in Vienna, the breakfast, like all you can eat breakfast situation here in the US, right? That looks like pancakes and waffles and eggs and bacon, and that's pretty much like the bulk of it, right? That's what our breakfasts look like. There, y'all, they had a juicer with veggies and every fruit you can imagine, and even ginger, like fresh ginger by the tea to add to your tea. Get this, they had microgreens by the salad section that you could cut the microgreens and add it to your salads. They had fresh cuts of the finest meats that you could add to your bougie cheese. They had every expensive cheese that you love from Trader Joe's, except that it wasn't from Trader Joe's and it was from like the finest places displayed. And I'm like, man, these people fuel well. Like, what can I be learning from that, right? And that was just another factor of kind of the learning that I was able to walk through, just being in Europe and during my time. But gosh, there's just so much that I loved. I loved how people dress up nice. I mean, I probably counted maybe like 20 people wearing leggings. Outside of that, they're like dressed up every single day, even if they like go to the grocery store. And I was like, that's cool. We should dress up more and like try a little more, you know? And then another thing that I loved was just the culture and how clean it was everywhere. There wasn't litter like in places that we see here in the US, especially in the Bay Area of California. Like, gosh, litter is so bad. People don't litter there. There's such like a culture of cleaning up after yourself, I guess. But that was really cool to see. Something else that was kind of like not a positive, I guess you can say, is that the culture of waiters in every restaurant that we kind of went to there weren't the kindest, which was interesting. I know that one of the waiters that was super friendly, we talked to him about that and he goes, yeah, that's a thing here. It's actually a cultural thing, and people who sometimes speak German can come off that way simply because the language sounds like, I don't want to say harsh, there's a better word for that. And by the way, if you speak German or you're from there, like, I don't want you to take any offense. This was just our experience there. But that was something where I was like, oh, wow, interesting. They aren't as attentive to you. There isn't that nurturing spirit when it comes to hospitality in the restaurant space. But it's not to say that it still wasn't good. And like the food and stuff was great. I loved the pizza that we got from this one specific place. I think that was probably my favorite meal. It was one of those stone oven pizza situations that have like the droplets of mozzarella cheese and just a couple pieces of basil. Oh, I'm still like, my mouth is watering as I'm talking about it. But those are all of the things that we got to do while traveling to Europe. And I just want this episode more than anything, like why I'm even sharing this with you, is to encourage you. I think so often we wait till it's too late. We wait to book the trip, to do the thing, to celebrate the loved one. But it's too late. We wait and we wait and we wait, and it's too late. And I don't want it to be too late for you to be able to create memories with the people that you love before it's too late. And so I want to challenge you and ask you this question. Do your actions line up with the things that you say you value the most? I ask that question because I think so often I will say myself that I value family. That family is one of the most important things to me, next to Jesus and my husband. Family, right? Before work, family. But do my actions show up and display that in my life? And sometimes, if I'm being completely honest with myself and holding up the mirror, they don't. They don't work, and busy and hustle and bustle get ahead of that place. But I think that we need the reminder and the invitation to be reminded that we've got to make sure that our actions line up with our values. And it's not to say that you need to quit your job and go on trips and travel always with the people that you love. That's not my sentiment. My sentiment is are you creating margin in your life? Like, by margin, I mean time in your life to prioritize the things that you say that you value. Because it doesn't have to look like every day or even every week. But 9 days for me was a big deal. I mean, I don't know if I could do that every single year, but I do want to make sure that if family is something that I value, I'm making sure that I'm visiting my family often, right? I'm making sure that we visit my in-laws often, and that me and my husband are going together. And so even another trip with my mom, I'm so grateful because it really does feel like a one-in-a-lifetime thing. Like, of course, the next trip, I want Jonathan there. The whole time I missed him so much. I told him and cried even several days because I'm like, I miss you. And so it's just so funny how we'll constantly be tugged to fly away from the current moment. And I had to bring myself back several times and say, Cece, you don't know if you'll ever get a moment like this. Be here now. And even my mentor, Jess, she DM'd me and she was like, soak it all in. Like, soak it in like you've never soaked it in before. And like I said, we don't know how many days we have numbered, and we don't know what the future holds, but we can control our time and how we spend our time and the days and moments that we have today. So I hope that this encourages you to book the trip with your mom, because I highly, highly, highly think that you just won't regret it. There'll be memories that you hold on to forever. You'll create silly TikToks that you'll be able to replay for your grandchildren. And I'm so grateful that I was able to go on this trip with my mom. And if you're listening, Mom, I love you. And I'm so, so grateful for you. Friends, if there's a certain part of this episode that you want to hear more about, I would love to know what that is. I could share more details too. I'm an open book. If there's certain questions that you have about visiting these places, I'd love to go into more detail. My DMs are always open. But shoot me a text too to 615-813-4813. And I just want to hear from you. If you have not yet subscribed to the Joy Corner, that's my weekly newsletter. You can sign up by going to the link in the show notes. And then if you're not following me on social yet, you should do that too. Follow me at CCALBONERO on Instagram and on TikTok. And you can follow That's Joy the podcast on there too. And friends, I'll never leave an episode without saying, if you have even the smallest desire to meet the creator of the universe, or if you've already been saved but you're not really free, I want to invite you to sit at the table of plenty with me and so many others. I'm telling you, there's an abundance here. There's an overflow here. There's so much joy here. I'm here to tell you that God is for you. All you have to do is invite him into your heart right now. He's waiting for you. He wants to meet with you. And friend, I am so proud of you. If you just made this decision, I'd love to know you. Shoot me a text to that number in the show notes so I could pray for you. I love you. God loves you. And until next time, I'll talk to y'all next time. Thank you so much for being here.